Good afternoon and welcome to my weekly live session wherein I share ideas and insights on leading your career. So today I'm shining the spotlight on your career identity and why it is so important to understand what it really means and how it is shaping your career opportunities. My name is Anne Caulfield. I'm an executive leadership and career coach, supporting individuals to develop the clarity, the vision, and the focus to fast track their careers on their terms and within their area of expertise, where they feel most confident and where they desire to grow and develop into the future. So, if you're joining me live today, please say hello in the comments. And if you're watching the replay, type replay in the comments as well. I'd love to see who's joining me here today. And I really want to engage you in the topic I'm speaking about today because it is overlooked by many and at the risk, of course, of impacting their career progression and fulfillment, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. So please engage and let me know if you're joining me live. And as I go through today's live, ask me any questions that pop in for you that come to mind, and I would love to answer them for you. If I see them come up here, I'll answer them here in the live, and if I see them afterwards, I'll answer them afterwards as well. So I suppose the key thing around the topic that I decided to speak about today is because it is one of the key foundations to building a successful career on an ongoing basis and into the future. And I work with individuals every single day who are already very accomplished in their careers, and now they have reached a point when they're not clear on how to navigate the next stage of their career. So either they know exactly what it is they want and they have just not been able to get there, or they are not clear on what is next, even though they are highly experienced and highly competent. And for both of these categories of individuals, one of the areas that I support them on to navigate the next stage in their career is on their career identity. And as I've already said, career identity is so important for career success. However, for many, they just haven't really thought about it. And they are drifting along, not really realizing that they have greater control over their career progression than they realize. So, and the important thing here is that it all starts with your career identity. Like we all have one, whether we realize it or not, which is really, really important. So, to start off talking about the topic today, first of all, like what is career identity? And your career identity really is the story that you're living each day. It is who you're being, it's what you're doing, it's what you have in your career and in your life. So that is your career identity. And it's coming from a story that you fully believe and support as being your reality, and therefore it is. Okay. So we have an identity that we have constructed, the me, which is a combination of memories, feelings, emotions, opinions, experiences, all of that, and beliefs, and everything that has brought us to where we are today in our careers and in our lives. So wherever you got to today in your career and whatever success you got to where you are in your career today, that was actually that a story was developed to get you there. So you had a story that was developed around, how you were being, what you were doing, and everything that you had in order to support you to get there, right? And the thing is, when we build that story, we subconsciously look for evidence each day that is supporting and developing that story. Just like the character in a movie, it is the narrative that we have going on in our minds, that story, those beliefs, those opinions, those memories, everything that we have there. That's the narrative that develops the identity for the character, right? So the character of the person, and then that is who the character who tells the story through their beliefs, behaviors, actions, and results. Okay, so a really, really high level perspective for you there on how that carries through. And what's really important here is understanding for yourself the career identity that you have today that was successful in getting you to where you are. But if you're somebody who I might have described earlier on, either as somebody who's at a stage in your career where you want to go to the next stage, but for some reason you're meeting resistance towards getting there and you just can't get there. You're working hard, or you're doing all the things you believe you should be doing, but you're still not getting there. Or maybe you are very confident, you've got to a place where you actually have no idea really what is next for me. Maybe I have a few options, but I don't really know what that is. The thing is, you need to go back and look at the story that you have in your life today. Like, what is that career identity? Because a career identity is developed when we link our competence, motivators, and interests to acceptable career roles per our understanding. Okay, so we're linking our identity to that. So we have an understanding of, this is my competence, these are my motivators and interests, and therefore we're linking all of that based on what we believe is possible for us to acceptable roles or acceptable ways of showing up into the future. How we perceive ourselves as capable, deserving, valued, credible, all of that shapes our identity, and how we perceive ourselves in that is really, really important to understand how we're doing that. And the thing is, as we base much of our identity on external influences and perceptions, we are at a risk of basing much of that identity that we're subconsciously building on assumptions and false perceptions, right? So when we have that resistance preventing us from moving where we know we really feel we're capable of getting to, but we're not getting there, this is a really important point to consider. Is there some resistance that we're creating? And one of the key important factors that obviously I'm talking about today is your career identity. Is that aligned and is it congruent to where you're going towards in your career? So this is a really important topic that, you know, I speak about a lot, and I support my clients to make that movement towards where they're going. But what's really important to understand, which I wanted to share with you today, is to understand how is it actually shaping your career opportunities. And the thing is, our career identity shapes our career opportunities as it is a magnet that connects like with like. So our identity of everything that I've just described, what our identity means and how it comes together, will attract us with similar, right? So like attracts like, okay? It's just the way it is. So if I want to attract future opportunities in my career that are going to allow me to step up to the next level, if I'm operating within a career identity that's not really congruent and aligned to the identity that's required at this other place, then I'm going to have a really hard time getting there. And it's going to be really difficult for me to really get to where I want to be. For example, like if you've two people with similar experience, qualifications, and career aspirations, imagine how each individual will have different levels of success depending on their career identity. So it's thinking for yourself how that has meaning for you, because the story the individual is living each day will determine the opportunities that they attract as a result of that. So thinking about, you know, who is this person being? Who are they being? Are they innovative, assertive, supportive, leading, or are they the alternative of that? And how the story that they have created, so the narrative that they've created, the character and the story that character is, which is them, which they're actually living, is allowing them to connect to their future opportunities. What are they doing? Are they taking opportunities to connect and build relationships, offer their opinions and ideas, or not? And how we actually show up, and our personal presence is very much linked to all of this. And also what we have in our career and in our life around supports, you know, our health and our well-being. Do we have a coach or a mentor? What supports do we have around us to help us to build that identity of getting ourselves to where we want to be in our career? And it's really, really interesting how we have certain assumptions and beliefs that we really need to go back and understand. Are they accurate, or are they just based on assumptions? Like, you know, we have a lot of beliefs, opinions, which lead us on to have certain behaviors and actions which lead to the results we get every day. But if we go back to the very beginning, you know, understanding what are they based on? Because the one thing is that, you know, if you've already been successful to this point in your career, obviously the identity you've had up to now has served you really, really well. And it's very important to acknowledge that. But if you're finding it difficult to get to the next place, then that's where you need to reassess and look at, is my career identity as it is today keeping me where I am, as opposed to moving me towards where I want to be? So that is a really important realization, to have and to understand, is that you? Is that one of the reasons why you're stuck where you are? So again, this is just one of the reasons, but it's one of the very big reasons. So what happens then when your career identity is not aligned to your career aspirations and capability? And as I said earlier on, what happens here is you're meeting resistance towards achieving your goals. You're doing everything. You feel you're doing everything, and a lot of the time, I see people, they feel that they're going to take on more work, do more projects, get more qualifications, all of these things. While that's great and that's good, if you want to do that, fantastic. But that absolutely does not equal getting your next career opportunity. And the sooner people actually realize that before they step into taking on more commitments around more work and education, which is all very important and valuable, but they need to understand the why. Why are you actually doing this? Because there's other factors to be considered when you're looking to move yourself to the next stage in your career. And I've seen it time and time again when I'm working with individuals and I'm coaching them and mentoring them through my programs to get to where they want to be in their career. It is all of this, the work on the self of helping you as an individual to step up to where you need to be and articulate your value, get clarity on where you're at in your career and develop that path. That is the game changer. That is the biggest game changer. And absolutely, the education and all that you've around it, that you do additionally, of course, that's going to help too. But it's not the leading factor, which is really, really important to understand. Also, what happens when your career identity is not aligned to your career aspirations and capability is you may feel like that your work is, you feel like that you need to work harder to achieve your goals. You feel you need to validate yourself in the eyes of others over and over and over again. Okay. And what's happening here is you're looking for external validation. You're looking for permission to step up and to contribute to the next level when you probably don't need that. Right. And it is good to get validation. We want to kind of get guides along the way in our path to make sure we're going in the right direction and we're getting feedback. But the problem I see what's happening all the time is people get stuck in this validation loop and they just can't get off of it. Right. So it's about making that shift to that new identity, which is going to be more congruent to where you're moving towards. And the problem is when we're in that stage of resistance and the areas I just described, that leads to frustration and it impacts confidence in your capability. Sometimes I hear people say, I've got to the stage, I really have worked so hard to try to get to the next level, but maybe this is as far as I can go. Maybe this is it. And more often than not, it's not the case. It's not it. It's just, there's a few factors that have not been considered that need to be updated to get you to the next place. And one of these is your career identity. And this is just one of the areas that I work with people and helping them to make that shift to go to that next place. And, this is the biggest thing around. Also, another factor is people say that, well, they're working so hard to get to that next place. They're like, you know what, I don't know if I actually really want that next thing anymore. I don't know if I really want to get to that next level. And this is a really important point to speak about, because if you're operating from the wrong mindset and the wrong career identity, where you're at right now, and you take that and you are successful getting to the next level, it's absolutely not going to serve you, right? And that's where people feel that they're under pressure, they're overworked, they're undervalued, all of that. They carry that into the next stage. So it's really important to clean all of that up before you move into that next stage in your career. So when you go in there, you are thriving, not surviving. You're thriving and you're operating smarter, not harder. And really, I suppose, you bring forward your best value and others are benefiting from that too. So it's a win-win situation. So the question I have for you today on this live is to think about, what story are you living? Is it an out-of-date identity that is not congruent to your current situation and opportunities? Or maybe it is up to date. So if you're moving along quite smoothly, getting to where you want to be, chances are, yes, you've updated your identity. But if you're not feeling that, then you need to really look and see, are you living an out-of-date identity? And because when your career identity is out of date and misaligned with your career aspirations and your capability, the fallout can include many of the things that people experience quite regularly when they're in their career is imposter syndrome, not showing up with the personal presence that actually aligns to the capability they have. So they're not really stepping into the ownership, like not owning the capability they have and putting it out there. Not feeling worthy that you have a seat at the table. That's another one. And, I have my mastermind group every Wednesday morning. We met yesterday and we had a very interesting discussion around managing upwards within the organization. And so this was a really, really interesting one where sometimes people feel that they're not worthy of a seat at the table. And again, that's another shift that needs to happen with your identity. Not feeling ready for the next step is another one, another really big one that stops people on their tracks. Undervaluing your expertise and impact, lacking career progression. Another one is feeling unfulfilled and undervalued. But ultimately, you're feeling that you've outgrown your role. And from this point forward, you can't seem to be able to navigate a smooth path to get to that next stage. So with that being said, what if you updated that story? What if you updated that career identity? What would be possible for you? So what's next then? So based on what I've shared with you, what can you do next? So the first thing you can do is recognize if your career identity is aligned to your future career aspirations, or is your career identity aligned to where you've been as opposed to where you're moving towards? Okay. And if not, then what you need to do in your next step is updating that career identity so that you're getting back on track with achieving your career goals with ease and confidence. Because when you update your career identity aligned to your career goals and aspirations, everything changes and results come to you a lot faster. I've seen people within my programs going through this phase of the process that we work through, and so quickly. I had somebody last week describe to me, she said, and I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders, was one of her comments that came through. She also said to me she had the freedom of expressing exactly what she wanted to get at the next stage in her career and actually feeling happy to go after it. So, it's absolutely mind-blowing the change this can make for people who have struggled for so long to get to the place where they have so much more value to offer. And it's not only, if this is you, it's not only you are losing out here, it's everybody around you. It's your organization is losing out, your team is losing out, whoever it is you're working with are losing out. But the key big question is, how can you update your career identity? So I suppose the purpose of today is really to start you thinking about, is it something you need to update? Is it aligned and congruent to where you want to go in your career? But now how can you update that? So if this sounds like you and you are ready to take action on updating your career identity, that will allow you to attract the opportunities that are aligned to your career goals, well, that is exactly what I'm supporting my clients to do within my Career Growth Accelerator program for individuals who are already successful in their careers and are now ready to define, align, and attract opportunities at the next stage of their career. And maybe you're experiencing some challenges with getting that clarity and path forward right now. So my Career Growth Accelerator program supports individuals to follow a defined success path to clarify, articulate, and lead their careers. And I suppose what's really important is that you do that on your terms. And the current program that I've underway is just what you need to update that career identity, which is only actually a piece of that program, but it's extremely, it's an absolute total game changer. Okay. And also the good thing is an upgrade to this year's program, in addition to the Success Path coaching and mentorship within the program, is I'm bringing in monthly international guest speakers to bring participants fresh perspectives and ideas to develop and articulate their value at the next stage in their career. So it's really, really exciting. This program has really got to the next level this year. So if you feel that, maybe you're ready for that and you're no longer prepared to wait and try to figure this out on your own, drop me an email. And in the subject header, if you just want to put the word career, and I will share with you more details on the Career Growth Accelerator program. If you've any questions from today at all, I'd be delighted to answer them for you. So either drop them in the comments and I'll answer them there, drop me an email, and I'll make sure I get back all those answers to you. So that's pretty much all I have for today. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you back here next week at 1 p.m. for more ideas and insights on leading your career. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.